Imagine a condition that affects an estimated 1 out of every 20 children, but it often goes completely unseen. This isn't just about a medical diagnosis. It's a story about identity, about struggle, and about the incredible power of finally understanding who you are. So today, let's dive into the hidden world of fetal alcohol spectrum disorders.
Just listen to these words from Maggie May McHugh. For 15 long years, she felt totally out of sync with the world around her, struggling in school, struggling to manage her emotions. And then, at 15, she got a diagnosis. Can you just imagine the weight that lifts when a whole lifetime of confusion is suddenly replaced by a single, clarifying truth? It was never your fault.
So why is it so hard to see? Well, that's because FASD is what's known as a hidden or invisible disability. See, unlike some conditions that have really clear physical signs, its challenges are mostly brain-based. And that means they're not always obvious from the outside looking in. So, what exactly is it? Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorders, or FASD, is a lifelong condition, and it's caused when a developing baby is exposed to alcohol before birth. Now, the most important word here is spectrum. This isn't just one thing. It's a whole range of possible effects on the brain and the body that can show up as challenges with learning, behavior, and even just getting along with other people. Before that diagnosis comes, life can feel like you're fighting a battle that nobody else can see. Just like Maggie May described it, having these intense meltdowns and just not understanding why you can't learn the same way all the other kids do. It's this incredibly isolating feeling of being fundamentally different, but with absolutely no explanation for why. And this complexity, this paradox, is captured perfectly in the story of an 8-year-old boy named Harry. His adoptive mom talks about these really intense meltdowns, with punching and kicking. But here's the other side of Harry. He also has these incredible strengths. He can teach himself how to master super complex computer games just by finding information online. And that contrast right there, that gap between a huge challenge and an amazing talent, that's a hallmark of this condition. And you have to remember, this isn't just one person's journey. Nope. For every single person with FASD, there's usually a family fighting right there alongside them. And it is a fight for answers, for support, and honestly, just for a little bit of understanding. And the toll this takes on caregivers, wow, it can be absolutely immense. Take Claire Devaney Glynn's story. She adopted 3 children, and all of them have FASD. The stress of just navigating their needs, fighting to get them services, and managing daily life was so intense that she said it cost her both her career and her marriage. It's a journey that can be so isolating. For military families, these challenges can get even tougher. You've got frequent moves, which means you're constantly having to start from scratch with doctors, schools, and support networks. Then there's this powerful stigma that can make it really hard for families to even ask for help. And just the demands of military life can really clash with what a child who needs stability requires. There is a pretty cool solution being proposed, though, something called a care passport, which would basically let a child's entire care plan travel with them from one assignment to the next. Okay, so what's actually going on here on a biological level? To really get why these behaviors happen, we've got to go inside the developing brain and see exactly how it's affected when it's exposed to alcohol. All right, there's a key scientific term you got to know here: teratogen. It sounds complicated, but it's just any substance that can cross the placental barrier and mess with a baby's development. And it turns out alcohol is one of the most powerful and common teratogens out there. It can impact pretty much every system in a developing fetus. And here's the thing. Unlike a lot of other organs, the brain is developing through the entire 9 months of pregnancy. That means it's vulnerable to alcohol at any point. Those first 3 months are especially critical, though, and that's a time when many people don't even know they're pregnant yet. The main damage we see is to what experts call executive functions. Now, the best way to think about this is like the brain's air traffic controller. It's the part that's in charge of planning, controlling your impulses, and managing your emotions. So when that system gets impacted, it explains the puzzle of someone like Harry. His air traffic controller might really struggle with the landing part, self-regulation, which leads to meltdowns. But it might be an absolute genius at the complex route planning needed to master a video game. So knowing that this is a brain-based reality, you would think that our systems, healthcare, schools, would be ready to help, right? Well, they're not. There are major gaps, which makes this fight not just a personal one, but a systemic one.
And that systemic fight, it often starts right in the doctor's office. Which brings us to a really fundamental question. Are the people on the front lines, our family doctors, actually trained to recognize fetal alcohol spectrum disorders? The answer, well, it's pretty shocking. A survey of military family physicians found that the vast majority, the biggest bar on this chart, got just 0 to 1 hour of training on FASD during their entire residency. That's less time than it takes to watch a movie. It's a massive, massive gap in medical education. And a gap like that has very real consequences. Kids get misdiagnosed with all sorts of other things. They get kicked out of school for behaviors that are just misunderstood as them being defiant on purpose. As one advocate put it so perfectly, these kids are already using services. They're just using up the wrong ones because no one is actually getting to the root brain-based cause of their challenges. So what's the solution? Well, it's a huge shift in perspective called FASD-informed care. It all starts by reframing behavior, seeing it as a symptom of the brain, not a bad choice. Then you build on their unique strengths, like Harry and his computer games. From there, it's about accommodating their needs instead of trying to force them into a box that doesn't fit. And maybe most importantly, it's about sustaining hope. But ultimately, this kind of care can't really take hold without an even bigger shift in our society. To really make progress here, we have to move the entire conversation about FASD beyond all the blame and the shame and move it towards support and genuine understanding. And to really feel the urgency here, you need to understand the scale of this issue. I mean, just how many kids are we actually talking about? Research now estimates that as many as 1 in 20 school-aged children in the United States may have FASD. Just let that sink in for a second. 1 in 20. That makes it more common than autism. This is not some rare disorder. It is a major public health issue that is basically hiding in plain sight all around us. And when you're talking about a number that high, the conversation just has to change. As self-advocates like Maggie May are urging us, we have to shift away from stigmatizing birth mothers and start talking about this for what it is, a public health issue. This is about support, it's about prevention, and it's about creating systems that actually help people instead of judging them. The good news is that change is already happening. As one advocate put it so beautifully, every small action, every conversation we have, every doctor that gets trained, every story that gets shared, it creates a ripple. And all those little ripples start to build into a wave of change that's going to make a huge impact for years and years to come. Because think about it, if 1 in 20 children are affected, that means every single one of us knows someone who is living with FASD, whether we realize it or not. So the question isn't really if we know them anymore. The real question is, now that we're starting to understand, do we know how to support them?